All right, we just wrapped up week number 10 in the NFL season. And boy, oh boy, we are barreling towards the middle of November, and the playoff picture is really starting to take shape. It feels like there's a clear cut tier of teams towards the top of this league. Super Bowl contenders are starting to emerge. Other teams packing it up, getting ready for April's draft, but there's still quite a few football games left to be played. But let's get into it. My power rankings for week 11. I'm going through, I'm watching 99% of all these games. I'm taking notes, keeping tabs, ranking all 32 teams 1 through 32. Let's hop into it. Our bottom tier teams, teams 32 through 23. Okay, for as long as Daniel Jones is the quarterback of the New York Giants, I'm sticking him at 32. God, they are abysmal. But right above them, the Dallas Cowboys, led by Cooper Rush or Trey Lance, whoever the hell is going to be quarterback for this team. 5 turnovers. They scored only 6 points. They had 5 turnovers. But maybe they can blame the sun some more. New Orleans, they get a win under Rizzy, their new interim head coach. New coach theory holding strong. He did clog the toilet before the game, so we got the clogger in New Orleans now. Maybe that's a good tradition for them. Carolina, winners of 2 in a row. I don't care that they beat the Giants in Munich. That's nice to see Carolina win 2 in a row. Bryce Young, I'm happy for the kid. And Chuba Hubbard getting paid and making plays. Huge game for him again. Tennessee, Tennessee was okay. They have the number 1 defense statistically in the NFL, but they have the 29th ranked scoring defense, kind of a weird enigma. They stop people from getting yards, but they sure as hell don't stop them from getting in the end zone. Maybe if they don't turn the ball over, they'd win some more football games. New England taking down the Bears. Drake May definitely looks like a guy who's going to be a quarterback in this league for a good while. Vegas on a bye. Maybe things will get better in Vegas. I don't know. I want to see them play again. I kind of forgot they even existed. Jacksonville, decent effort from them. Mac Jones and the offense couldn't do anything with the defense. Awesome, forcing 3 interceptions. They had a really nice day. They had a chance. Maybe if McCorkle wasn't so garbage, they could have actually taken down the Vikings. Jets at 24. I kind of want to put them lower, but there's so many bad teams in this league. The Jets are really bad. Aaron Rodgers probably going to retire. And oh my gosh, who would have guessed? You fired your defensive head coach and now your defense isn't nearly as good as it used to be. Cleveland on a bye, just another team. The defense is good. Maybe Nick Chubb getting some more rest. Jameis Winston doesn't turn the ball over. That would help, but yeah, Cleveland just kind of whatever. All right, let's get into our middle tier teams 22 through 16. Okay, I got the Colts at 22. Joe Flacco's still throwing interceptions. The defense is, not great. Jonathan Taylor's having an awesome season. Chicago at 21. Bears offense is abysmal. Caleb Williams, 9 sacks. Remember when he said the punter wasn't going to be punting a lot? More punting yards this year than passing yards for Caleb's. Matt Eberflus is a dead man walking. The Dolphins all the way up to 20. Really nice win on Monday night at the Los Angeles Rams. Wasn't perfect, wasn't pretty. Defense played much better, forced some turnovers there. Tua looked okay, but Tua, please stop trying to tackle people with your head. My God. Denver should have beaten the Chiefs. They don't block on a 35-yard field goal. That gets blocked, and they lose the game. But Denver's kind of whatever. They're the good, bad team, I think. Offense is slightly limited. Bo Nix is seeming to get better each and every week. Defense has been really good most weeks. Seattle on a bye. I don't know what to make with the Seahawks. Feels like they're trending downward. Offense, really, if they can't run the football, they definitely can't protect Geno Smith and the wide receivers. They're always banged up. DK Metcalf, he needs to get back in there. And the defense is really hit or miss each and every week. LA at 17. I was positive on LA, but man, just a terrible loss. Offense looked bad. Defense wasn't perfect either. Just an ugly, ugly game for the Rams, and they had all their pieces. They had Cooper Kupp, they had Puka Nacua, they had Kyron Williams, and they just looked bad. 16, I got the Bengals at 16. I know they lost to the Ravens. They went for 2. I love the mood. This offense has been really good. Joe Burrow's putting up crazy numbers this year. Their defense is just, it can't stop anybody. And it's a poorly run organization. Ownership is really messing with the mojo of this team. And I don't think Zach Taylor's a very good head coach. Bad play design on the 2-point conversion. But let's get into it. What you guys came here for. My top 15, starting with number 15. All right, despite the losing streak, I'm going to put Tampa Bay up into 15. Look, I just like how this team plays. They play hard, they play competitive, they really push the Niners to the brink. Baker Mayfield, they're super undermanned on offense. They couldn't run the ball at all either. And he just tried to put the team on his back, goes down there. He's stiff arming Nick Bosa, making plays, getting the team into field goal range to tie. And the defense did a relatively good job. This is a defensive unit that can really stop the run, but they struggled mightily in the passing game. Brock Purdy kind of lit them up. But this is a talented team that's just so banged up, so hurt. We need to get Mike Evans back ASAP because they're not out of the playoff hunt yet. I think there's an open spot now at the bottom of the NFC for that last wild card spot. Probably going to be hard to catch the division, but the division is very flawed. They've already lost to Atlanta twice, so they're up really against it. But I just really like the overall attitude and the way this team plays each and every Sunday. They're not a great team. They may not even be a good team, but they play really hard and they make life miserable every Sunday for opposing teams. Okay, 14, I got the Kirk Cousins-led Falcons capping off this shit division because, my God, the NFC South is so bad. Look, Atlanta feels like they could have lost 2 or 3 of these close games. They've been winning them, but now they let a stinker go away. They lose to the New Orleans Saints. Younghoe Koo, who is Mr. Automatic, misses 3 field goals. Very uncharacteristic of him. Kirk Cousins really doesn't do anything special there. Throws an interception. Bijan had a really nice day on the ground. Love to see that. Just keep feeding Bijan. But overall, they just couldn't score touchdowns. They're missing field goals. And then peak Kirk Cousins, the final play of the game, a check down on 3rd and 16 to let the clock basically run out. And then they throw another pass on 4th down short of the sticks as the clock expires. Just like peak Kirk Cousins experience. I think that's what the limiting factor is with this team. For some reason, Kirk just does this goofy shit against certain teams. If he's in one of these moods, you get these kind of games from him. Defense is okay, but it's really not great, and they struggle to rush the quarterback. They really can't get after opposing quarterbacks, and if teams have time to throw the football, they will find guys open, and they will pick you apart. I mean, Derek Carr is hitting Marquez Valdez-Scantling in 2024 for 67-yard touchdowns. You got to get that fixed. I don't know if Atlanta's really that good, as their record says. This just kind of feels like they're going to win this division probably because Tampa Bay's so beat up and Carolina and New Orleans aren't going to do anything else the rest of the season, realistically. So Atlanta's going to be hosting a playoff game, probably the 4 seed in the NFC. And yeah, probably one and done, but who knows who's coming in. The NFC's kind of stacked in the other 3 divisions. Okay, at 13, I got the Houston Texans. I was vehemently disappointed with how the Texans finished that game against the Lions, get shut out in the second half, give up 19 unanswered to lose the game. Look, they looked really strong in the first half. The defense was flying around. They were getting after Goff. They got 5 interceptions. 5. Now, one of them was right at the end of the half, so really 4 in the field of play with 8 minutes left in the third quarter. And they couldn't win this football game. They could do absolutely nothing on the ground. They could not run with Joe Mixon. And it showed that they're missing their receivers. We need to get Nico Collins back out there. It looked like he was going to play this week. He doesn't. And they were just really outmanned. I mean, they're relying on guys you haven't even heard of, most of y'all out there. Tank Dell's okay, but he's really not a number 1 receiver. Dalton Schultz got mixed more in the action. I think we need to see more of that. But I just kind of hated how they approached this game. The offensive play calling was bad. They really showed their youth in this game. They looked really young. Defense did a good job, and they had no Will Anderson for this game. They lose Lassiter in the second half, who was having a really nice game, had a pick off of Goff. So I just think this team needs to get healthy, but they feel like a very immature, I don't know, it has a negative connotation. They're a young team. They make these young team mistakes with a young play caller and a young head coach. I think Houston has the potential to be a really good team, and obviously, they're going to win this division. The AFC South is as bad as the NFC South, so they're going to get a home playoff game, and this is a team that can be dangerous once they get into the playoffs. They're sitting at 6-4. That's exactly where they were last year. You wanted to see a little bit of improvement, but obviously they're super injured. Let's get Nico Collins back out there. Let's keep Joe Mixon running the football and then maybe take some pressure off of CJ Stroud to make these plays. Please protect him better too. He's running around for his life. So Houston here at number 13, but I need to see more from the Texans. Okay, at 12, the Arizona Cardinals. We never bailed on the Cardinals. We never sold our Cardinals stock. This is a fun team to watch. They play a goofy, they play an exotic style of defense and a very difficult style of offense to deal with. They run the football extremely well with James Conner. Kyler Murray, when he is on, he is as good as any quarterback in this league. He can make plays with his legs. He can throw the football with the best of them. You have an awesome tight end in Trey McBride, who is easily starting to establish himself as one of the best tight ends in the league. You got rookie Marvin Harrison Jr., who is just going to catch a touchdown every other week or so, make some plays for you there. But this running backfield, you got Trey Benson in the mix now. This is a strong team, and the defense isn't good, but they play an exotic style. It's fun to watch. They're aggressive. They hit you. They're flying around, so they're going to get beat. They're going to make mistakes, but they're also going to make big plays. They're going to turn you over. They're going to sack you. They're going to force fumbles, and I think this kind of all fits in together perfectly. Jonathan Gannon got a lot of shit his first year as the Cardinals head coach, like going into the press conference. He had a bad Super Bowl in his final game with the Eagles, but I really like the direction he's taking this Cardinals team. They're in first place in the NFC West, and their schedule is really, really favorable. Don't have to play the Rams or the Niners till the last 2 weeks of the season, and they've already beaten both those teams, 2 teams chasing them. Still got to play Seattle twice. They got to head to Minnesota, so that might be a tough game for them, but I think it's a really favorable schedule for them. I definitely think the Cardinals are going to make the playoffs, barring any injury or anything crazy like that, because I definitely think they're one of the top 7 teams in the NFC. All right, at 11, I got my LA Chargers. I loved the Chargers coming into the season. They were my dark horse team, and they've really been awesome coming out of the bye. Justin Herbert is playing like the Justin Herbert we know he can be, and it was a little bit more efficient this week, a little less passing. The run game wasn't as great, but you got Gus Edwards back. You got 50 from him. You got 55 from J.K. Dobbins, or vice versa, but you got about 100 yards from your top 2 backs. You bring in your pass catchers. Quentin Johnson catching a touchdown. He looked like a bust last year. Ladd McConkey. And the real key is this defense. Jim Harbaugh has turned this defense around. They were an awful defensive unit. They didn't really change the pieces. They've yet to give up 21 points in a game this season. The most they've given up is 20 this year. I know they haven't played the most juggernaut of offenses out there, but man, that's an impressive thing. If you can do that in the NFL, you are a good unit. And the AFC definitely firmly into that playoff spot. Schedule's also beneficial for the Chargers. I don't think it's anything crazy here. They do have to play the Bengals, though. That could be an interesting game if the Bengals catch fire, but you just got to give all the credit to Jim Harbaugh, man. He just takes teams, instantly turns them from bad to a playoff contender, and usually in the playoffs in 1 year. And I'm excited. The Chargers are going to be a bitch and a half to play in the postseason. They play good defense. They can run the football. And Justin Herbert makes plays. Justin Herbert is a very good quarterback. He needs to be, I know he gets mocked on social media because he'd put up all those crazy numbers, lose all those games. So when their backs are against the wall against a really good team, I could really see Justin Herbert taking over. And imagine if this team gets one more receiver. Oh, lordy, the Chargers could be here. No more the jokes of the NFL for screwing up games late. The Chargers are for real. Okay, at 10, I got the 49ers. Not a pretty game against Tampa Bay, but like I said, Tampa Bay is all sorts of physical and play with you each and every week. They could not run the ball, but Christian McCaffrey was back. That was really nice to see. Jawan Jennings, a very strong game as the wide receiver 1 option. George Kittle adds a touchdown in there. Really, Brock Purdy was the star of this game. Over 350 yards passing for Purdy. He looked awesome, made some plays with his legs. Defense was fine. I mean, I bet you Nick Bosa wishes he had that sack back against Baker Mayfield at the end of the game that would have sealed this thing up. But the kicking unit, it was a disaster. We got Debo fighting kicker. The vibes do just feel off with this 49ers team. They feel like they're on the precipice, but I still think they're going to win games. I just have too much respect for them. They're going to find a way into the playoffs because the NFC has kind of weeded out some of these lower tier teams. The NFC West is tough. It could be a hard fight to catch the Cardinals for that division, but they do play them the last game of the season. They're going to have to get that one probably to win the division. But this is a well-rounded football team. There's just so much talent. The defense definitely needs to clean things up. Everybody obviously needs to get healthier. I don't know if we're going to find that wide receiver group is enough for the Niners when push comes to shove against the better teams in the NFC. No Brandon Ayuk is really going to hurt them, but Ricky Pearsall got his first NFL touchdown. Thank the Lord. Look at that. Still got holes in his chest, but San Francisco's still going to have a lot of respect for me, but this is clearly not the juggernaut we've seen in years past. Okay, this is just kind of how it works out sometimes, dropping the Packers down a spot, even though they were on a bye. The biggest thing is their division keeps winning football games. The Lions won, the Vikings won, and the Packers have already lost to both of those teams at home. So now they're really up against it to try and get in that to the division, and they now don't own a tiebreaker against, the whatever team doesn't win the division there. They've also lost to the Eagles. They're undefeated with Malik Willis, and their losses are with Jordan Love. He definitely is banged up. Hopefully the bye clean things up for him. They've been running the football really well. And the defense has been so reliant on turnovers. That's something that we knew was going to kind of regress back to the mean because they have been giving up a lot of yards and points. So if the defense can kind of maybe not get as many turnovers, but they can also cut back on giving up those yards and points, I think we'll find a really nice balance with this team. This is an extremely well-coached team with Matt LaFleur. They do still have to play the Bears twice, so that could be 2 easier wins if you're the Green Bay Packers. They do kind of own the Chicago Bears. Nothing seems to change for them. But right now, Green Bay just feels like the third team in this division, maybe, but they make too many mistakes. They play a lot of close games, kind of get sloppy here and there, and they got pushed around by the Detroit Lions physically and clearly. And when Jordan Love isn't right, it just isn't pretty, and the turnovers don't come with those big explosive plays. So Green Bay at 9 here for now. Okay, I'm putting Pittsburgh up here at 8, up 2 spots. Pittsburgh in first place in the AFC North. Everybody had that after 10 weeks, right? Man, Russell Wilson has really transformed this offense. They're 3-0 with Russ at quarterback. Let my man Russ cook. He just keeps serving up these moon balls to George Pickens, who will either A, always make an insane, ridiculous catch, or do one of the stupidest, most nutty things ever. George Pickens is truly a national treasure, and they kept consistently running the ball. They weren't chunking out big runs. It was kind of a grind against the Commanders team that really came to play, but they kept stuck to it, broke some out, and then you find Mike Williams, you just trade for him, 1 reception, 32 yards, and a touchdown on the day to win the game. And then, you just lean on this defense. I've said all year, if Pittsburgh can find a way to get games into the 24-30 range rather than that 21-17 range, they're going to win a lot of football games. The defense is starting to bend a little bit, but maybe they're changing their approach because they do know how good the offense is. When the defense needs to get a stop, they've been getting stops, and I'm going to trust it. Obviously, a little banged up. Everybody's banged up this time of the year. I want to let it go a little bit longer with Russ and the Steelers, because I always have a rule. Any quarterback can look this good for 3-4 weeks. It's, can you do it once everybody has film, once everybody knows your tendencies, and they take those away? Can you adjust? Can you adapt? And I'm leaning on that. I think Pittsburgh is a real team, and they can absolutely do that. We know how experienced Russell Wilson is. My man is not washed. He's going to take care of the football. He's not going to make any big mistakes. They're going to try and win these one-on-one battles, pound the rock, and play great defense. Pittsburgh is a fun team right now. Who would have thought Russell Wilson could save his image like he has? And they're going to be another tough team in the postseason. Cold weather, physical defense, gritty, grindy, just like Mike Tomlin wanted. Pittsburgh here at 8. Okay, I'm going to drop my Vikings down to 7 here. Just a bizarre game. End up beating the Mac Jones-led Jaguars 12-7. Don't score any touchdowns, but they had over 400 yards of offense. They had 42 minutes of time of possession. They completely dominated this game. They were moving the football all up and down the field. Aaron Jones, over 80 yards on the ground. Cam Akers got involved, but 3 red zone turnovers, all targeting Justin Jefferson. And that's been kind of the Achilles heel of this team. You can't turn the football over. Sam Darnold, 6 turnovers in the last 2 games, but they are 2-0, so that is a positive sign. It's just kind of weird. Sam's got to be able to take those checkdowns, man, instead of forcing the ball into JJ. People are going to cover Justin Jefferson. He is the best receiver in the league. You got to take what's there. TJ Hawkinson, second game back, had a huge night, or day, I should say. He looked really good back into himself. I thought they were going to get him killed out there, but this team is led by their defense. Brian Flores, only 1 touchdown. They forced 3 turnovers. They have a fumble and 2 picks to seal the game. This is one of the best. I think they're 3rd in scoring defense. This has been an outstanding defensive unit. Another gem of a job for them. They've only given up 13 points in the last 2 games on defense, and 3 of those were because of the offense's turnover in field goal range. So really only 10 points. This has been a great defensive unit. If they had a better quarterback play, I'd be much higher on the Vikings to make a serious run at a Super Bowl. But with Sam Darnold, we just kind of know what we're getting. Lots of turnovers, lots of mediocre. Man, I wish J.J. McCarthy was healthy, but Vikings here at 7. Okay, I'm going to put Washington here at 6. No shame in losing that kind of game. This was a young team, and that's how the kind of games you lose. It does suck that you had a chance to get a stop, get the ball back, potentially go down there and get a game-winning field goal, and you jump off sides. You know, Zaire Newton is a rookie. It happens sometimes, but I thought Jane Daniels played well enough. Pittsburgh was after him all game. They couldn't get any sort of semblance of a running game going. No Brian Robinson once again. He's kind of the only guy that I trust to consistently run the football like Cliff Kingsbury wants to. Austin Eckler's nice, had a pair of touchdowns. McNichols added a touchdown. But it's not the same clearly. Scary Terry, give my man some love. He actually does have a quarterback now, and he's been lighting up teams. And this defense has been much maligned. People coming into this year, how terrible this defense was going to be. It's taken some time. You got to learn the Dan Quinn system. They're not the most talented guys in the world, but they're learning the scheme. They're getting it down, and they're playing a lot better. That was a gritty, physical football game. Some crazy special teams plays going both ways. I just like how Washington looked, because sometimes you learn a hell of a lot more in a loss than you do a win, and young teams need to learn those things. They've been on easy street. You have the crazy Hail Mary win. I'm really, really interested to see how this team bounces back. Short week, Thursday night against the Eagles, first place in the division, top 2 teams. You're in second right now, Washington. Let's see what you're made of. This is a big spot for them. Washington, gonna be in the playoffs, I think, and they're a fun team. They're kind of like last year's Houston, but maybe better. All right, I got the Eagles up here at 3. Don't look now, but these look like the 2022 Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the tush push isn't quite as good as it's been in years past, but Jalen Hurts is playing much better football. He is really, really coming into his own. He's running the football well. He runs it into the end zone. He gets tush pushed in, but he's throwing well. We got 2 awesome receivers. When A.J. Brown is healthy, this offense is just different. They can throw the ball more. They can get it to their playmakers. And then, of course, you got Saquon Barkley back there. Just hand him the rock. This offensive line is one of the best run blocking lines in football. They'll grind you into dust, and the defense is playing so much better. This was already a really good defensive front against the run. They're starting to get after the quarterbacks. They forced 5 turnovers. I know they're playing Cooper Rush and Trey Lance and whoever the hell, Jerry Jones back there, a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. But really, how about rookie Quinion Mitchell out of Toledo, my favorite corner coming out of the draft? He has been a stud, potentially a rookie of the year candidate. He has been awesome, and that's helped out massively because this back end was abysmal last year, and they're really starting to tighten things up. It's not perfect. They still have Nick Sirianni as their head coach, which I think is ultimately going to cost them because, man, he is just way too much goofball and not enough aggressive. He is, him and Dan Campbell were kind of in the same vein, but he way went over the line, and Dan Campbell has found the perfect mix of what it is to be aggressive and, go for it. Sirianni's just a fuzzball, a cheeseball, a goober. Who the hell knows? But I really like this Eagles team. They're so well balanced. They are in a great roster. This is like talent everywhere. And this is what we've been wanting to see. The Eagles have felt like a letdown the end of last year, the start of this year. Felt like a massive letdown. Now, let's see. I could say all this great stuff about the Eagles, and they lay a dud on Thursday against the Commanders, and it all falls back into shambles. But maybe Nick Sirianni almost getting fired twice this year, it felt like, brought this team together. I don't know. I still feel like no matter what happens to the Eagles, you fire Nick Sirianni, you hire Bill Belichick, and this team is instantly back to being good. I don't care if the Eagles even win the Super Bowl this year. Just please get rid of Nick Sirianni because I can't take it anymore. God, this has turned into a Sirianni rant, but the Eagles are legit back. They are a Super Bowl contender here at number 5. All right, I'm going to keep Baltimore here at 4. Really nice win on Thursday against the Bengals. They look like they were dead in this game, and then they come all the way back, and then they look they're dead, and then they come back, and then they look dead, and then they get the stop, and they walk away a winner. Lamar Jackson has easily been, the MVP of the league. Maybe Josh Allen. I don't know. It's close, but Lamar's been better than he was last year. Pair that with my man Derrick Henry, who is like, no matter how old he gets, no matter how many treads are on the tires, he's just like LeBron James. He's just going to keep doing it until he doesn't do it. He'll defy all the age things. Bring on Zay Flowers. I like this wide receiver core. Mark Andrews is back in the mix to the guy we knew he could be. I wish this team had one more reliable receiver. Like Rashad Bateman's okay, but it just still doesn't feel perfect. Aguilar got into the end zone, but the defense is playing a lot better too. They starting to stop the run. They're making it really difficult on teams. The back end isn't as bad as it like was earlier in the year. They were playing great quarterbacks. I know Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase had a day, but they got really banged up. Kyle Hamilton gets hurt in this game. I think that really kind of swung that whole direction of this thing. But the Ravens are just scary, man. When the Ravens are on, their best game might be better than everybody else's best game. It's close, but all this talent on offense, all this talent on defense, good head coaching, no more blown double-digit leads. They're coming back from double-digit deficits now. Ravens here at 4, and I'm really interested if they're going to be able to swing back and grab this division away from Pittsburgh. Okay, at 3, I got the Buffalo Bills here still. Nice win against the Colts, on the road. It wasn't the prettiest thing. Josh Allen now has a turnover in 3 straight games after not having an interception. He throws 2. James Cook has a nice day on the ground. I like my man Ray Davis, their backup running back, but they were down their wide receivers. No Amari Cooper, no Keon Coleman. So it was kind of the Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid show. And I mean, I don't think anybody's afraid of that no matter what, but Josh Allen, obviously MVP level stuff, making plays on the ground, making plays with his leg. And the defense did a good job. They get a pick 6. They forced like 3 turnovers. Joe, I think Flacco had 3 picks. He may have only had 2, but they were just forcing turnovers again on Flacco. And that's really been the story of this team season. We thought this defense was going to take a massive step back with all the pieces they lose. And then they lose Matt Milano, their leader in the middle, right before the season starts. And it's like, oh boy, here we go. This has been an outstanding job by Sean McDermott. I don't think he gets enough credit. I think for what he's done with this team, it's really, really can't be stated enough. But here comes the ultimate challenge. Undefeated Kansas City Chiefs rolling into Orchard Park this weekend. If the Bills win that game, they're right back into it. 1 game back of the Chiefs. I mean, they've already won the division. They're 5 games up in the AFCs. So the division's done. You can make yourself 1 game back with the tiebreaker against the Chiefs. But if you lose this game, the road goes through Arrowhead once again, and I don't know if it matters in this matchup, but Buffalo needs to get these mental wins because we know they just can't beat this Chiefs team in the playoffs, and that's really the only measuring stick Buffalo cares about. Can we beat Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes? And I do think this might actually be the best team Buffalo's had. Okay, this one was a little bit tougher on me because 1 and 2 didn't look the best this weekend, but I'm going to keep Detroit here at 2. I know it was an awesome 16-point comeback, 19 unanswered in the second half, but there were still some real flaws exposed on the Lions. Jared Goff throwing the football all those times, not great. 5 interceptions, 4 of them really, in the middle of the game, but he was really good in the second half. This team has to run the football more. This is a couple times this season they've gotten to let's drop back and make Jared Goff throw it. Jared Goff ain't that guy. He's not that guy. He is not him, okay? If you get after Goff, you can get him a little flustered. You put hands on him. You hit his arm. You touch his shoulder. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to throw the ball bad. And maybe the roof was open, so it counted as an outdoor game because he just looked awful all night. Needed to see more running of the football with David Montgomery, with Jahmyr Gibbs. And you know what? That's really what kind of swung this thing around. They look dead in the first half. They come out. They start getting the ball to Montgomery. They find Amon-Ra St. Brown more. Houston tried their damnedest to not let Amon-Ra get involved in this game. Sam Laporta has a nice day, gets in the end zone. He does get banged up, but the defense also helps swing the momentum. They're an aggressive defense. They're a downhill defense. They take after their head coach. They dangerously flirt the line between aggressive and dirty. We've seen a lot of late hits, a lot of low hits from this defense, but that's how Detroit's going to play. They're going to get away, force the refs to throw flags on them because that's just how they do it, man. They are a gritty, grimy unit, and this is maybe the best team in football. They're certainly playing that way, most weeks of the season, and it was good to see it tested. Jake Bates, 2 50-yard bombs. He flirted with the upright, kissing both times on both sides. Kind of cute, actually, if you think about it. When things like that start going your way, it might be your year. If I'm a Detroit Lions fan, I'm truly believing this could actually be our year. Finally get to the Super Bowl for the first time ever in franchise history. I clearly think this is the best team in the NFC. Now, Minnesota's hanging around, only 1 game back. You did already beat them, but they are keeping pace with you. Don't forget Green Bay kind of trailing right behind. So Detroit really can't afford to slip up here down the stretch, but I don't think they're going to do it. If they didn't lose Sunday, I don't know many other spots where they are. Detroit here too. And finally, got to keep the Chiefs at number 1, man. Back-to-back Super Bowl champs, and they're now 9-0. It's not the prettiest football. It's not the cleanest football, but just win, baby. The Chiefs find a way. I mean, it looked like it was over. Denver's kicking a 35-yard field goal. What is that, like a 94% success rate? And they find a way to block it. Not only did he not miss it, he didn't miss it. They blocked it. You don't ever see that kind of stuff on field goals that close. And Steve Spagnuolo and the defense, they played it just like that. They forced Denver to kick it. They weren't worried about the clock. They said, we're going to make this play. Offense was inconsistent all day, but we're getting Travis Kelce back involved. That's like 3 weeks in a row. He's looked really good. DeAndre Hopkins has helped out a ton with this team to get the ball to Kelce. Just take some of that pressure off of them. They weren't really able to run the ball. Credit to Denver's defense. They did a fantastic job. Mahomes was kind of all over the place, moving for his life. Once we get Isaiah Pacheco back, I think this really upgrades this Kansas City team. Kareem Hunt has done a really nice job, but he ain't Isaiah Pacheco. Obviously, no Rashee Rice. That's going to hurt them, I think, long-term. Need to get Juju back out there. But Kansas City just keeps finding a way to win. And I just don't think you can bet against the Chiefs at this point. It's really, really difficult if you're going to pick against the Chiefs because it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Andy Reid, it's that elite defensive unit. They're just going to make plays. So Chiefs here for number one, still the final undefeated. Let's see if they can keep that streak going in Buffalo. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? What do you guys think? I love debating with you guys in the comments on that. If you haven't already, drop a quick like in this video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We got new sports content for you guys every single day. If you want to support the channel more, sign up for a channel membership. You get all sorts of access to cool and exclusive perks. Help support me, allows me to keep making this great content for you guys every single day. If you want to check out one of your teams in person, head on over to SeatGeek. Use code afterthereview for $20 off your first purchase. That's SeatGeek.com. Code afterthereview for $20 off your first purchase. Again, like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see y'all tomorrow.